All right, this is Bayonets and Tomahawks. I always want to get the name reversed for some reason. I always want to say Tomahawks and Bayonets. Anyways, it's Bayonets and Tomahawks by GMT Games. This came out last year. It's a game that I think I got by accident. I don't think I meant to pre-order it and somehow got a copy and I was like, oh, you know what? This actually looks pretty cool. Let's crack it open and play it. And I've just enjoyed the heck out of this thing. It was my number one most enjoyable game I played last year. But I set it up again. We had some pretty winter style weather lately, so I thought, this would be a good time to break out something French and Indian War, and so we put away the Next War series just temporarily. I want to get it back on the table, but I thought I'd enjoy some Bayonets and Tomahawks. Now, it's a different kind of card game. I mean, it's not a card-driven game in the classical sense. It uses cards, but it does it in a really interesting way. So here's the number one question that people ask me about Bayonets and Tomahawks. Is this solo friendly? Let me say it first of all, there's no bot. And first of all, I'm not a big fan of bots. I can count on one hand the number of games that I actually enjoy the bot with. So most games I find the bots are kind of contrived. They're fun, for a little while, but then I figure out how to beat it every time, and it's just, okay, enough of that. Okay, there's no bots here. However, you can play what I call God mode. You're playing both sides, just play the best of your ability. And how the game works is you're going to basically not have a hand of cards. What you're going to do is you're going to flop a card off the deck. Like, say, for example, I pull 2 cards off the deck at the beginning of each year. And it's from the build-up deck. There's a small deck. I think there's like 6 cards in there of the build-up deck. It has a little build-up notation here. One of those cards is going to get discarded. It won't be used the entire year. The other card is going to go into my reserve, which is a card I could conceivably play later on. So let's say, I think in this case, this is the one I discarded. This is a better card to keep in reserve because I like the 2 different actions on here. I feel like those are 2 really useful actions. So I put that in my reserve, and I would keep that secret from my opponent. Now, if I'm playing it solitaire, I just leave it face up on the table. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, and there's different ways that you could do this solo, but I tend to take the player side that is doing well in terms of victory points, and I'll take that player side and I'll play them by looking at the next card. Let's see what the next card is. Okay, this is the next card. I either play what I drew or I put it in reserve and play the one from reserve. That's basically how the card play works. In a 2-player situation, you would keep your card play a secret. You draw one of the cards off the Indian deck, and whatever you draw, that's just what happens. There's no reserve for the Indians. So it's kind of a wild card for the French side. And then the British player will be doing the same thing at the same time. Everybody reveals their cards at the same time. If there's an event associated with that card that says at start, then you would carry out that particular action, and then in initiative order, both players will carry out the actions that are allowed by their card play. And initiative order is based on the little die roll symbol here. The highest die roll gets to decide if they want to go first or second. If there's a tie, the French player wins the initiative and will decide whether to go first or second. So that's basically how it works. So in a solo situation, what I do is I'll play the side that I think is doing well in the game, and I'll make them pick what they're going to pick first. I try to remember to forget that when I go over to the other side, flop a card, and I look at it and decide, oh, this one's got a nice event here. This would give me some replacements to fix some reduced units, and so maybe I want to use that one and just leave whatever I had in reserve in the reserve. But this is I would basically have a little bit of knowledge of what the other side was doing, thus giving the disadvantaged side a little bit of a leg up. That's how I play it solitaire. So it's an enjoyable experience for me. Your mileage may vary on that, but that's basically how I play this game solo, because there's really not a lot of hidden information. The only thing that's really hidden is, what card you have in reserve, the card picks, and then everything gets revealed at the same time. There's no, hand of cards in the game, and the decks are fairly small, so you have a rough idea of what the decks could consist of. So in my estimation, this game is far more solo friendly than your typical card-driven game like For the People, We the People. Those kinds of systems don't lend themselves as readily to solitaire play. Now, there is a GMT, How to Play CDG's a solitaire game. I think it should be shipping this year. It's well advanced, I think, in its development. But that would be an alternate product that you could get to help facilitate that. I have no experience with it. I don't know anything about it. I have it on pre-order. I can't wait to check it out. But in the meantime, this one here will play, and it'll play really nice in the way I just showed you. So great story narrative in this particular game. It does a lot of really cool things. I think that it evokes the flavor of the period. And so I really enjoy this one here. So if you want a game that it's got great components, I think it's got some novel mechanics to it. This is one I highly recommend. Now, I know some players might not like some of the things in it, but I'll shoot a couple of videos and show you a little bit about how this one plays. But I think for me, it just hits on every single level, and I've just really enjoyed it. So Bayonets and Tomahawks by GMT Games, definitely worth checking out.